when you say gold standard, this isn't just a gold standard for the UAE in terms of what, let's say, standards that you would have in other industries. This is a gold standard for the world to say that, you know, this is a consensus by the world bodies that this should be now a model that would be considered acceptable for any peaceful nation to pursue nuclear power. So how I mean, 4 years on now, how has this model been used? Has anyone approached you about using this gold standard? Are there any examples you can point to?
I mean, when we look at the UAE program as a whole, there are many aspects of the program that are it's a large-scale program. So there's so many issues related to the policy, the business model, the way we approach our development of our regulation and regulator. There's so many aspects of the program, and what we've seen so far, a lot of interest in different angles of the program from other states, but also from the international community. Maybe not 100% the whole program is being copied somewhere else, but there are definitely so many aspects of the program are getting a lot of interest from our partners, but also especially newcomers countries reaching to us directly, or sometimes through agencies like the IAEA. So we have developed this partnership with the IAEA in which we receive a lot of support and guidance from the IAEA, but also we provide a lot of feedback to the IAEA in terms of developing their guidance for other countries, but also evaluating certain approaches or certain recommendations, and have these lessons learned available to other countries or states that are interested in. So to answer your question, yes, there are today a good credibility in the UAE program. A lot of countries, when they challenge with a certain process or such, they look at the UAE approach, how they did it. And of course, the UAE approach is also very not conventional when it comes to developing both on the government and regulatory side, but also on the industry side. So there is a lot of interest in terms of understanding how it was done and how it was possible to make such progress in such a short time and such. So either in policy or the actual project or regulatory approach, there's increased interest, I would say, in the UAE approach.
Well, Fukushima is not the only sort of nuclear incident that we've had recently in Asia, and specifically in Korea, which is the country we chose to be our partners, had a much more minor incident, but nonetheless a safety incident with the Kori plant, where the reactor core temperature rose during a shutdown. And the issue was dealt with in the sense that it was then cooled down and the reactor shut down normally. But the rise in temperature, which was a reportable incident according to the Korean rule book, was actually not reported and then covered up by the authorities in nuclear, and since I believe has led to the resignation of a senior figure in Korea. So, I mean, this has caused a lot of discussion in Korea itself about the culture of secrecy around the nuclear industry. What's been your response to that incident, given that it is so close to your chosen partner?
I mean, that any incident of that nature, of course, raises more awareness related to the importance of culture of safety in power plants, and that's something that we in the UAE, we take really as an important part of all of the work we do. And hence the policy from the beginning stated that the UAE will commit it to the high standard of safety. The high standard of safety not only to adopt the safest design and the safest plan, but also to focus on developing a culture of safety among workers, among the entities, among all the relevant stakeholders. And that's something that the UAE takes very seriously. And it's not only done through writing the right regulation to adopt that, but also through training of the employees, through training the management of the stakeholder to ensure that safety culture and safety aspect comes first, no matter what the issue. It's a unique thing about nuclear industry, that culture of safety is of a much higher standards than other industries in general. And of course, if there's any challenge to that, the response would be to ensure why that happened, to correct it, and then if there is issues related to human resources training and culture of safety, or if there is a procedural issue that should be implemented to prevent such thing, all these measures will be adopted as a result of that. And this is an ongoing process, as I mentioned. I mean, I can just give you an overall view, not necessarily to a specific country on this issue. And I mentioned that for a country that is developing or building new power plants, commercial sense does not make sense to develop multiple enrichment facilities with multiple levels and such. So from that perspective, it's the UAE views that it's for a country to develop nuclear power starting from scratch. It makes no commercial sense and technical sense to develop a full enrichment, multiple facilities for that one or few facilities you have.